Two Raptor engines failed on Starship's 12th flight. One shut down mid-ascent. One may have hard detonated. Booster 19 ended its mission with a hard splashdown in the Gulf. Sounds like a bad day, right? And yet, engineers who track this program closely are calling it a major step forward. They're not spinning it. They're looking at a number almost no headline bothered to mention: 39 minutes. That's how long it took SpaceX to fully fuel a rocket they just stretched to over 124 meters, carrying nearly double the propellant load of its predecessor. Bigger, heavier, faster to fuel. How does that math work? And why does that number matter more than both failed engines combined? Today we break it down. You'll see exactly where Flight 12 won and where it didn't. Let's start there, 39 minutes, because it unlocks everything else. When SpaceX launched Flight 12 on May 22nd, this wasn't just a return after 200-plus days of silence. This was the first flight of Starship 5-3, Booster 19 and Ship 39, lifting off from a brand new launch pad, Pad 2 at Starbase. New vehicle, new pad. A long list of open questions. The first answer came from the tank farm. Let's put the scale in perspective. Starship 5-3 has been stretched to over 124 meters, taller than a 40-story building. It carries nearly double the propellant volume of the previous version. According to what SpaceX published, and what hundreds of thousands of viewers watched live, full propellant loading, liquid oxygen, liquid methane, both stages, completed in under 39 minutes. The sequence was clean to the point of being almost startling. LOX loading on ship started first. 4 minutes later, booster LOX came online. Less than a minute after that, methane began flowing into booster. By T-minus 33 minutes, all tanks were loading simultaneously. Booster confirmed full load at T-minus 2 minutes 50 seconds. Ship followed 40 seconds later. A fair comparison, 39 minutes versus SLS's 10 hours. To give that number real context, we need a fair benchmark. That benchmark is NASA's SLS. This is an apples-to-apples comparison. Both are orbital-class super heavy launch vehicles in the same weight class. Per NASA's published operations profile, SLS begins propellant loading approximately 10 hours before ignition. The load sequence itself runs 5 to 6 hours. After that, the system must replenish, continuously topping off propellant lost to boil-off for roughly another 4 hours. 10 hours, against 39 minutes, for more than twice the propellant mass. This is the moment I want you to pause on, because I'll be honest, first time watching the live stream, I rewound it. A rocket nearly twice as heavy fueling faster than anything we've seen before? Every instinct says that shouldn't be possible. Bigger should mean slower, but it's real. Before we move on, one thing needs to be said clearly. SLS is not slow because it's poorly designed. SLS burns liquid hydrogen, one of the most operationally brutal propellants in existence. LH2 sits at cryogenic temperatures far below liquid methane. Its molecules are so small they seep through gaps that would contain anything else. Any engineer who's worked with liquid hydrogen will tell you it's an operational nightmare. And critically, SLS was built around a completely different philosophy. Fly a handful of times per year, each mission a major event. It was never designed for rapid reuse. 2 rockets, 2 philosophies. No winner and loser here, just 2 different roads. But if your road is continuous reuse, fly, land, refleet, repeat, then 39 minutes isn't a number to brag about. It's a number you're required to hit. That's why it matters. So the real question, how? How does a bigger rocket fuel faster? The secret is one small detail, twin quick disconnects. The answer isn't a massive new pump system, it's a detail so small almost nobody points at it. Twin quick disconnects. 2 separate fluid interfaces at the base of booster. One dedicated to liquid oxygen, one dedicated to liquid methane. Sounds mundane. Here's why it isn't. Picture filling 2 swimming pools with a single garden hose. You're forced to do them sequentially, finish one, then start the other. Now give yourself 2 hoses, one per pool, and run them simultaneously. That's exactly what the twin quick disconnect architecture enables. Instead of LOX and methane flowing serially through one interface, V3 runs them in parallel through two. And here's what I find genuinely elegant about the engineering thinking. When you double the propellant load, most people's instinct is pump harder. But pumping harder means higher pressure, more energy, more risk. SpaceX's solution wasn't push more force through the same path. It was open a second path. Put simply, SpaceX didn't try to drink faster. They just added a second straw. Sometimes the most advanced engineering looks exactly like a clever everyday workaround. All right, now we understand why it fuels fast. But I know you're still waiting for the answer to the headline question. What does fueling speed have to do with calling an entire flight a win when two engines clearly failed? This is where everything connects. Two classes of problems. What you can patch versus what you have to redesign. In a flight test program, there's a truth most outside observers miss. Not all failures are equal. There are two fundamentally different classes of anomalies, and knowing how to distinguish them is the line between understanding a flight correctly and getting it completely wrong. Class 1. Anomalies you can iterate between flights. A single Raptor engine failure sits squarely here. Raptors are in continuous serial production. Any individual engine can be adjusted, replaced, or upgraded without touching the vehicle's core architecture. More importantly, Starship is designed from the ground up to absorb engine-out scenarios. Data indicates ship needs only 5 of its 6 Raptor vacuum engines to maintain its target trajectory. Losing one engine isn't an unexpected catastrophe. It's a contingency the system was architected to handle. Class 2. Things you can't patch. Propellant loading speed lives here. If your fueling architecture is slow, no software update saves you. You don't tune it, you redesign the tank farm. You redesign the quick disconnects. You redesign the entire fluid flow. That's root-level surgery. And that's the complete technical case for why engineers call Flight 12 a win. Think of it like building a house. If the foundation and frame are right, a stuck door is a weekend fix. But if the foundation is wrong, you can't iterate on a bad foundation. You tear it down and start over. Flight 12 showed the foundation is right. The hardest thing to fix, propellant loading speed, worked. The two engine failures in this framework are stuck doors. That reads cleanly. But I don't want you to trust the argument just because it sounds coherent. A credible analysis has to look hard at the bad, so let's do that. Looking straight at the bad, how two engines failed. Here's what went wrong on Flight 12. No details softened. T plus 42. A Raptor 3 engine on Booster 19's outer ring, the 20-engine outer circle, shut down mid-ascent, while the vehicle was still accelerating through max Q. With 33 engines burning, losing one is manageable, but it shouldn't have happened. T plus 238. This is where things got genuinely hard for Booster 19. Post-stage separation, Booster executed its flip maneuver and attempted to initiate boost-back burn, the engine relight sequence to arrest downrange velocity and return to the catch site. Per SpaceX's own statement, Booster failed to achieve a full engine ignition for boost-back. That comes directly from SpaceX, so confidence in that data point is high. Frame-by-frame analysis of the footage adds this. An abnormally energetic plume erupted from the engine section. Here I need to be transparent about the boundary between confirmed data and inference. The conclusion that a mid-ring Raptor 3 hard detonated is my read based on imagery. SpaceX has not confirmed that. So file it as a conditional hypothesis. If a mid-ring Raptor 3 RUD'd, then Raptor 3 restart reliability under boost-back conditions is the exact failure mode SpaceX needs to resolve before Flight 13. The downstream consequences are straightforward. Failing to achieve full boost-back ignition meant Booster couldn't execute a nominal landing burn. Per SpaceX, the result was a hard splashdown in the Gulf. Booster wasn't the only casualty. At T plus 303, Ship 39 lost one of its Raptor vacuum engines. To compensate for the thrust deficit, SECO, second engine cutoff, was extended more than a minute beyond the planned timeline. That's the bad, stated plainly. 3 numbers, 1 story, operational tempo. Here's the detail that reframes everything. And it matters. Booster 19 was always planned to be expended in the Gulf. No catch attempt was ever on the manifest for this flight. Flight 12's objective was to validate the new hardware stack, not to recover the booster. There's more. Per available reporting, SpaceX deliberately tested a new boostback profile on this flight. Instead of the 3-engine center cluster burn used on previous missions, they attempted a 33-engine full-ignition boostback to scrub velocity more aggressively, because Booster V3 reaches stage separation at a significantly higher velocity than Flight 11 did. In other words, the failed boostback wasn't purely an accident. It was an intentional experiment performed on a stage already scheduled for disposal. It failed. It generated data. It didn't compromise the mission's primary objectives. And 39 minutes doesn't stand alone. Flight 12 left 2 more data points on the same axis: tempo. Data point 1, satellite deployment rate. The redesigned PEZ dispenser door ejected 22 objects in under 10 minutes. Compared to roughly 1 satellite per minute on previous iterations, that's more than double the throughput. Don't underrate that number. Deployment rate determines payload density per Starship mission. It's an economic metric, not just a technical one. Data point 2, anomaly recovery speed. The Thursday before launch, a hydraulic pin holding ship's quick disconnect arm stuck. Commanded to retract, it refused. SpaceX stood down. They worked through the night, resolved it, and launched Friday. A mature program isn't one that never stumbles. It's one that gets back up fast. 39 minutes to fuel. Under 10 minutes to deploy full payload. 1 night to troubleshoot an anomaly that could have cost a week. Taken separately, those are 3 isolated data points. Taken together, they all measure the same thing: operational tempo. And operational tempo is the working definition, the ground level, no spin definition of reusability. Let me close the argument cleanly before we look ahead. 2 failed engines are a Class 1 problem, fixable between flights. The 3 tempo metrics are Class 2 territory, the hardest things to get right, the things that must be correct in the original design, and all 3 ran nominal. That is the complete case for why a clear-eyed engineer looks at Flight 12 and calls it a win. But there's one more detail from this flight I've held back. Something drifting just outside the hull of Ship 39, quietly doing a job that may determine whether Starship ever gets clearance to land on US soil. Thanks for analyzing with the Space Brief. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Flight 13 is coming.